Hey everybody, welcome to another Merly on Time. Before I get into the video today, please hit subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button if you like these videos, but please do hit subscribe and join the channel. Well, today I am going to be showing you what I think, based on everything that I have seen and certainly what I have, and I haven't seen it all and I don't have it all, but I'm going to be showing you what I think is one of the best chronograph watches, a quartz watch that you can get, and it's around $200. It is a Seiko chronograph watch. I love chronograph watches. When I started my watch collecting journey, I received a chronograph watch as my first Watch Gang subscription watch, and I loved it. And then as I started to do more research on watches and watchmakers and whatnot, when I started watch collecting about a year ago, I didn't really know very many brands. I knew of Timex because I've worn Timex watches. I of course knew about Rolex, but knew I'm not going to be buying a Rolex. And I knew of Citizen, that brand, but I didn't really know about Seiko. I had no idea that Seiko was a brand, and I didn't know how great these watches actually were. When I got this chronograph, I was basically, after I learned that Seiko made great watches, a lot of the micro brand watches use their automatic movements in them, even their quartz movements in them. And so I do have a couple of micro brand watches with their quartz movement in it, the same quartz movement that is in the watch that I'm going to show you. I didn't realize how good they were. So once I learned that they were great watches, I just typed in Seiko watches in Amazon, and this watch grabbed me right away. Great looking watch, price was okay. Saved up a little bit for it because it was, I believe when I bought it, about $225. At that time, definitely my most expensive watch, but it is an amazing chronograph watch. And so what I did was I got this watch to unbox and review for you, but I also brought, up till now, I have 7, including this Seiko, 7 chronograph watches. And I'm just going to be showing you what makes a good chronograph watch. And I'll leave a link in the description for where I bought this watch, if it is still available. And you can grab this watch and add it to your collection if you wish. You're not going to regret it. It's a great looking piece, and it is one of the better chronographs that you can get for sure. And so again, if you're liking these videos, hit subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button, help that YouTube algorithm get these things out a little bit more. And with that, let's turn the camera around and have a look at this Seiko chronograph watch. You're gonna really love it, I think. Okay, so this is the Seiko, and the model number is SSB031. It was manufactured in 2015. Came in this Seiko box. Nothing overly special about this packaging. Before we crack this open though, just a quick wrist check. I am wearing my Seiko 5 Sports SRPD 059 orange dial. Just an absolute beauty of a watch. Most expensive watch that I own. And since we're talking about Seiko today, I thought I'd wear my Seiko watch. So this is the SSB031 chronograph. There it is there, an absolute beautiful watch. Sitting in this nice little pillow. I did take one link out, as you can see, in order to fit, and there's some warranty information and whatnot inside the box. And so this is it. And if you notice at the 9 o'clock there, that is the 60-minute complication for the chronograph. You can see that it has run already, and there's a reason for that, which we'll get to in a minute. But let's just take care of the specifications of this watch. This watch is 40 millimeters case diameter. The case is 11 millimeters thick. The bracelet is stainless steel, 316L stainless steel, 20 millimeters at the lug. It does maybe have a slight taper to it, and it just has a fairly cheap press clasp for the security. Push button fold over clasp, pretty standard. It's got the Seiko branding on it. The only downside to this one though you can see there's only 2 micro adjustments. So not quite a link. And so this one fits slightly loose, but not too bad on my wrist. And if I were to add another link, very loose, if I took the another link off, it would be too snug. So you know, if you compare it to this clasp on my SRPD, you can see it's got 4 micro adjusts on it. So you can get a better fit with more micro adjust. So at any rate, so that's kind of a downside to this watch. So we'll talk about the features of the watch. It's got the proprietary Hardlex mineral crystal, Seiko proprietary Hardlex mineral crystal. You can see it's got a tachometer on the bezel. The bezel is stainless steel, at least according to the specs. On Amazon, it's got a date window there between the 4 and 5 o'clock, so you can see it is the 21st today. And it is got 100 meters of water resistance as well. The crown, nothing special about the crown, just a stainless steel crown. It doesn't have any branding on the crown. You pull it out once and you can adjust the date. Pull it out twice and it will hack the time, and you can set the time for the watch as well. Complications on the watch: this is a chronograph, of course, so on the 3 o'clock you have a 24-hour complication. On the 6 o'clock you can see you have the running seconds complication for the timekeeping of the watch itself. And of course on the 9 o'clock you have the 60-minute complication for the chronograph. This also has a mecha quartz movement. It is the caliber 6T63, 6 T's and Tom 63 movement. And let me just start the chronograph. So the pushers, the top pusher starts the chronograph. This one utilizes the large second hand to keep the time for the chronograph timer. So one push of it, and you can see that that second hand is not ticking. This is a mecha quartz, so it's kind of a partly mechanical watch. So that is actually, almost looks like it's sweeping like an automatic movement. And it is actually 5 ticks per second, and so it's sweeping around. And you'll notice as it does sweep around that the minute over here, which is right now at about 16 minutes, is it's going to slowly move to 17 minutes as that rounds the corner. So beautiful, beautiful watch. Case back is just plain, nothing, or sorry, not plain. There's just a bit of a Seiko branding there on the case back, but not see-through or anything like that, because it is a quartz movement. To stop the chronograph, you would push that top button and you can reset it. This has a snapback reset, which I will show you in a minute. But why is this the better chronograph, or the best one that I have? Well, I just want you to see how legible this chronograph actually is. So you can see fairly clearly that this has run for 17 minutes. The 9 o'clock complication there again. That I have had run this chronograph for 17 minutes. So let me just show you some other watches that I did run the chronograph on, and you'll just see how much better this is for legibility. Also the pushers, very tight. There's, you know, the water resistance. These aren't screw down pushers, and so you do have to give them a good push. They spring back very well. Other chronographs that have cheaper movements in them, you know, the pushers will be, you know, fairly loose, loose feeling. But this pusher springs back, and there's no, you know, slight little push. There's no movement. It's being held tight against the case, and that helps with the 100 meter water resistant. Anyway, let me show you a few more watches. This has the chronograph using the larger second hand to sweep and keep the time. Other chronographs use the complication, and I'll show you those as well. Actually, I'll show you a few of them right now. But I want you to see just how legible this is compared to other watches. So let me just show you a couple of other chronograph watches that I have and you'll know why I love this one more than the others. Okay, so here are some examples of chronographs that I do have. I mentioned that I got my first Watch Gang watch was a chronograph, and here it is. The difference between these chronographs that I'm showing you, these three here, compared to the Seiko, is that these use the complication usually at the 6 o'clock for the seconds. And then of course it's got the 60, this one has a 60-minute complication at the 9 o'clock. So if I start this chronograph, you'll see that the second hand at the 6 o'clock complication is starting to sweep around. Now at the 12 o'clock, it's got a 1/100th of a second timer on it as well. Now look at the difference between these two watches here. I'll just stop this chronograph so you can see that the second, the 1/100th of a second has stopped just above the 12 o'clock. Now let me just ask you, how long has this chronograph run for? Right? You can, if I zoom in or bring the watch in close, you can see it's run for about 10 minutes. But the further out, so if you imagine you're wearing this on the wrist, those complications are quite small and not nearly as legible as this one. And you can see what I mean. The black on the white contrast there makes the Seiko much more legible. So I'll even show you this one. I reviewed this one not too long ago on my channel, the Acrobos. Similar idea. The seconds is running at the 6 o'clock, and the minute complication for the timer is at the 9 o'clock. And again, if you push the button, you'll see that the second hand on the 6 o'clock will start sweeping. And again, legibility wise, this is much more legible than this. And notice that this particular watch has all of the minute markers as well as the second markers on the indices. This one does not. It just has every 5 minutes or every 5 seconds. So you can't really get a very accurate read on this one. And it looks like it's run for, about 36, maybe 37 minutes, this one. And this one that I got on the Wheel of Watches in Watch Gang is a sterling original. And I mean, you can just see the silver rings there. If I bring the watch in a little closer, now you can see the chronograph time on the 9 o'clock. It's actually only counting for 30 minutes. But you literally, unless I bring it right to the eye of the camera, you literally can't. Right about there, you can't even see it. So let me show you a few of the other chronographs that I have that do utilize the larger second hand, and you can see why this one just knocks them out of the park. So I'll bring them in now. This is a second watch that I got from Watch Gang, the Aeromat, and it has a Seiko movement in it. It does utilize the larger second hand for tracking the time, so I'll just push it and there it goes. And this one, again, it doesn't have the indices on the minute complication at the 9 o'clock. So if I stop it there, you can see that it has run not quite 20 minutes, but you don't know exactly how much. You kind of got to guess. But you can know the seconds because of the second hand. Now the good thing about this kind of movement, which the Seiko does have, is when you push the reset button, it will snap back and it set the minutes back to 60, and this second hand just slightly past the 12. It should be right on the 12, and so, oh well. You'll see when I press the reset button on this, that the minute hand here, which is at 17 minutes, will snap back to the 60 as well as the second hand. So there it goes. Isn't that's so cool? And so you're ready to start the chronograph timer again. So the reason that this is superior to the other ones, number one, legibility. Secondly, the pushers, very, very tactile, they're strong. Some of the other pushers on watches that I have, they're a little more springy, so they remain tight to the case once you're done pushing it to maintain that water resistance. Here is an example of a chronograph that I did review where it is utilizing the seconds complication on the 6 o'clock. And again, it's got a tachymeter you can see on the outer ring of the dial. And to have a tachymeter on the outer ring of the dial, ideally you would want the larger second hand to be tracking the time. But in this case it's not. But these pushers are you know, pretty flimsy, a lot flimsier than the Seiko watch. And when you reset this watch, you can see it's been running for about 5 minutes. When you reset this kind, it doesn't snap back. It will wind itself back. And so you're not able to use it instantly. You do have to wait for it to reset. And there you can see both have reset to 60. So anyway, guys, let me show you this one on the wrist, and then we'll conclude the video. And just before I show you the Seiko on wrist, here's an example of, well, this watch I did review on the channel as well, and it utilizes a VK63 Seiko Mecha Quartz movement. You can see already, although it's a great looking watch, it does have screw down pushers so that you can lock them in place. I'll start the chronograph again here, and you can see I'm just going to have to bring it closer to the camera. Again, we're talking legibility here. You can't quite see you know, just what's going on as well as you can on the Seiko watch. It is utilizing the larger second hand. It is a Mecha Quartz movement, this one, so the second hand is sweeping there. If I stop this one and I reset it, you'll see it snap back. But before I do, you can see, you know, it has run not quite 10 minutes. It looks like maybe about 7 minutes there. But again, because it doesn't have the indices, it's a little harder to tell. So if I reset it, it snaps back. Pretty cool. But again, here it is, the Seiko on wrist. And you can see that the chronograph is still running. It is going on 11 minutes now. And you can see how easy it is to read. Once that second hand gets up to the 12, that will be 11 minutes, and just much easier to read than any of the watches. Bracelet looks great too, and fits comfortably, and it just is a beautiful piece. Again, I'll leave a link in the description so that you can pick up this watch if you want to. It will cost you around $200 Canadian. You might be able to find it for a little bit less than that, but I'll link the Amazon where I found it on Amazon for you if you want to pick this one up. Highly recommend it. It is definitely well worth the money. So that was the Seiko SSB031. Great chronograph watch in every respect. You will notice when you look at chronograph watches, some chronograph watches, the complications are quite small and difficult to read. Others might be a little bit larger, but they don't have the minute indices going around the either 30-minute or 60-minute complication. This one just has everything that you need. Very legible. Just the functionality of it just tops all of the chronographs that I have seen so far, not only in person, but as well as on video and whatnot. There are other chronographs out there that I'm sure that are excellent, but I just think this one beats a whole lot of them, and you can get it for just over $200 Canadian. And so once again, thanks for watching Merly on Time. If you are liking these videos, please hit subscribe, please like the video, and remember, whenever you leave the house, make sure that you have a great piece on your wrist to wear, and make sure that wherever you're going, you get there on time. God bless you. We'll see you in the next video.